Hi, everyone. Welcome to Kiki and Kibitz. It's Mary, and I'm here with today's edition of 90 Days in 900 Seconds, The Other Way, Season 4, Episode 12. The glow soon becomes ashes. Wow, that's a dramatic title, if I may say so myself. And guys, I'm sorry if my energy is a little low key today, but I had a tooth extracted last Thursday and the stitches removed today. So I'm a little blah. But if I was going to give this episode a grade, I would give it a B plus solely because Miss Debbie, Miss Debbie and the donkey. But I will get to that later. So let's set 900 seconds on the timer and let's hop right in. So we're going to start off with Miss Debbie and Osama. And it's her first morning in Kimberset. And Miss Debbie, she needs her peacock fan because she feels like she has aged at least 10 years. Don't get her wrong. She has done third world living before, but this is way too much for Miss Debbie. Way too much. I mean, there is upholstery on the toilet seat. And it's like a hole in the wall and a whole garden hose for a shower. And she just can't take it. There's no railings on the stairway. She doesn't know how people go up and down the stairs without breaking their neck. So she's just hoping that she could convince Osama to get their own apartment because this is just not her nest. Okay. This is not her thing. I mean, Miss Debbie with her matching peacock fans for every outfit. This is not her nest. Okay. But being the guest that she is, she bought gifts for everyone. Now, Mama Osama is resting. She's resting. So Debbie gives Papa Osama his gift first. And did you know Papa Osama was an artist when he was younger? So he was quite impressed with the pencils and the sketchbook and all of the fancy artist materials that Debbie gave him. And he was very grateful for his gift. And it really touched his heart. So then the sister comes into the room, and it turns out that Osama could pour tea just like his dad. So Osama pours some tea and they're talking. And it turns out that Osama's family is on a different page than Miss Debbie. Osama's family thinks that Osama is going to the US. They think that Debbie is bringing him back to the US. And Debbie is like, excuse me? I guess this guy over here didn't tell you what's really going on. I fully intend on living in Morocco for the rest of my lovely days. And that was the clutching of the pearls moment. Like you literally saw his sister and his father were like, excuse me. So his sister's like, you're planning on staying here? And Debbie's like, yes. I guess Mr. Osama over here, nudge, 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 didn't tell you. Okay. So now they go out to this beautiful, beautiful place. Okay. So they run into a donkey. And Debbie's like, oh my goodness. I love animals. And this honestly was the highlight of the whole episode. So Debbie starts singing the Irish lullaby to the donkey. Then she tells Osama she wants to ride the donkey. She gets on the donkey and she's like, Osama, slow down. I don't have a butt. I don't have a butt. Oh my goodness, slow down. And then she falls off the donkey in typical Miss Debbie style. So then they're sitting there and they're sketching and whatever. And, Debbie's trying to talk to Osama. And Osama tells her to shut up, basically. He's like, be quiet. I'm trying to be creative. And Debbie's like, okay. So every time Debbie tries to bring up a conversation about their future, Osama's like, I don't want to talk about it. We can talk about it another time. And it gets to the point that Miss Debbie's like, when we were texting back and forth, we would have meaningful, deep conversations. Do I have to whip out my phone and text him to have a meaningful, deep conversation? He's sitting right next to me. I'm trying to talk to him and he keeps shutting me down. What is going on? It gets to the point that he actually says that she has a mental disorder. Excuse me? Osama said to Miss Debbie, you have a mental disorder. You keep bringing up the same conversation over and over. You must have a mental disorder. Excuse me, Osama. It sounds like you are trying to run a scam. You told your family one thing. You and Miss Debbie were on one page when she left the good old USA, when she left good old Sugar Hill, Georgia. It sounded like you and Miss Debbie were on one page, and now that she landed in Morocco, you turned the page without telling Miss Debbie. That's what it sounds like to me. So we will see what happened next week. But Osama, this is not looking good for you. Do not say Miss Debbie has a mental disorder. Moving on to someone who may have a mental disorder. Jen and Rishi. So where we left off last week, basically. Okay, we're at lunch, and Jen is trying to establish the timeline of exactly when Rishi's family started searching for a fiance for him. Now, I don't know why she is sitting there trying to establish a timeline with her fiance when his family started searching for a fiance for him. Okay, make that make sense to me, because it doesn't. So she had gotten up and stormed away from the table, and her shit stirrers, I mean friends, Randy and Myra are still sitting at the table, and they're questioning him. So Randy's like, well, obviously, since you're not going to get up to comfort her, I will. So Randy goes back there, and Randy is like, well, her friends basically tell her you traveled halfway around the world for love, and you're not going home until you get all your questions answered, excuse me. And if we have to be the ones to tell Rishi's family about you, because we know that his astrologer slash friend said that he has to wait until August 4th at 4:06 a.m. or whatever the case may be to tell his family about you. We could tell them. It's not the same. It's not like you're telling them or Rishi's telling them. So we could tell them. Okay. So now the girls decide to go to an Indian dancing class, partly to get Jen's mind off of things, and partly I'm sure because Randy and Myra are visiting Jen in India, and they want to do something else than chase Rishi around all day, I assume. So they go to this Indian dancing class. It's a very interesting dancing class. Like Jen said, there's no formal steps. And at one point, the women are picking up dollar bills off the floor with their teeth. Now, Randy would know a lot about picking up dollar bills because it turns out back in 2006, when she was laid off from Morgan Stanley, she was working as a stripper in a gentleman's club, and she made in tips almost as much as her salary in Morgan Stanley. Really interesting. So when Jen made the comment that these women, the Indian dancers picking up the money off the floor with their teeth reminded her of kind of a stripper move, I yelled at the TV, well, your friend Randy would know all about that. So anyway, they decided that they're going to take this dance class because Jen needs to let loose. And Jen keeps saying that there's a lot of things that are lost in translation. She believes that a lot of things between her and Rishi are lost in translation. Do you know where we're headed, guys? We're going to get a translator. We're going to drag a poor, innocent translator into this mess. Okay, so now we have this poor, innocent translator who is gorgeous, by the way. And now Jen, Myra, and Randi are explaining the situation. And at first, the translator has no idea what the fuck she's getting herself into. But once she realizes that she is basically going to be breaking the news to this family that Rishi is engaged to this old American woman, basically, she is like, oh, fuck. What the hell did I get myself into? And by the way, did you know that Randi is a certified interventionist? So she's going to break the news to Rishi's family like an interventionist. Hey, the good news is your son is not a drug addict. He's not an alcoholic. The bad news is he's in love with an older American woman. Hey, could be worse. You know something? This shit is a hot mess express. And we will see how this all turns out next week. That's all I have to say. So now moving on. We have Mahoon and Nicole, another hot mess express. Okay. So after the Naroon fiasco, Mahoon said, forget it. Nicole is not hanging out with this bitch. And he called Fatima. He called his sister-in-law and he said, you need to take her out. You need to like take her shopping, do something because this Naran bitch, no, she is not hanging out with her. So Fatima, help. So Fatima shows up because Fatima is the MVP and Fatima shows up and she takes Nicole out food shopping. But of course, it's not food shopping like it is in America. So they go to their street farmers market, live chickens. Nicole looks like terrified, lots of noise, lots of traffic, and Nicole gets her own version of wife training from Fatima. Nicole has no idea how to pick vegetables. She has no idea how to haggle, no idea what prices should be. And Fatima's giving her wife training right out there in the market. And, you know, Nicole should hang out with Fatima more often and maybe she will adjust. And like Fatima told her, it took her about a year for her to be able to go out and shop alone and do things on her own. And, you know, Nicole, maybe she should step back and learn from Fatima instead of whining and complaining all the time and expecting things to come to her easily. So she explains to Fatima that she is miserable. And in a Google Translate conversation, she explains to Fatima that she wants to go home and she's going to take her husband with her. And Fatima just thinks that this is another recipe for disaster. And you know something? I agree. So Mahoon is really trying to make Nicole happy. So he decides, let's get a cat. That'll make her happy. That'll give her something to do during the day. That she'll be able, you know, to pay attention, take care of something. So they go to this place where they have cats. And that's another theme of this season, cats. So, of course, I'm like, oh, look at all the kitties. But, of course, they shouldn't adopt a cat because they could barely take care of them fucking selves. So, Nicole's looking at the cat, and at least Nicole has enough sense to say, excuse me, maybe we shouldn't adopt a cat because I don't know what I want to do. I may stay, I want to leave, you know. So she decides that she's going to have a conversation right there. So she sits down with her husband and tells him, you know something, I don't want to stay in Egypt. And he's like, my goodness, this is what I feared all along. And she's like, well, you could come with me to America. And he doesn't want to go. And we don't want him here. But because Nicole is a dimwit, Nicole, applied for the spousal visa, and she is going to pull the spousal visa card, and she wants her husband to come here. And Mahoon said that he didn't take it seriously when they first applied for the spousal visa, but he really doesn't want to come here. But now you need to take it seriously because your wife is not happy in Egypt because she realized the country wasn't changing for her, and now she wants you to come here. And I have a feeling we're going to be stuck with them for seasons and seasons to come. Oy. So moving on to Gabe and Isabel. And, I really do get where Gabe's sister is coming from here, because I would be pissed the fuck off. I'm an only child. But if my brother got engaged and didn't tell me, I would be pissed the fuck off. He's in Florida for 2 weeks. He goes to lunch with his sister and his mom and decides to tell them then that he's engaged. But I believe his sister is being a tad bit, no, screw that, a lot of bit of a shit stirrer for no reason. Okay? I don't think they need a prenup. I understand where she's coming from about Gabe starting his business and, working on this for many years, but also Isabel is also involved with the business. So the prenup shit. Secondly, I totally get where Gabe is coming from. He's nervous. Isabel and his sister have the exact same personality. He's afraid that that's going to clash. But they are the two important ladies in his life. They need to find a way to get along. Thirdly, Monica needs to stop looking for every reason, every negative reason to bring up about Isabel without meeting her. She hasn't even met the chick yet, and she's trying to throw out all this negativity. Meet the chick first, feel her vibe. Then if you have anything negative to say, bring it up. Take a step back, Monica, and let your brother be happy. Moving on, we have Chris and Jamie. Now, this makes me angry on so many levels because I feel like Chris truly, she duped Jamie. She really did. I feel like she duped her. So we are going to start with Chris's scene with her mom. Okay. And she is basically telling her mom that she is working. And she sends money to Jamie, and Jamie's never satisfied with the money. And her mom is like, it's like you're a sugar mama. Well, it's hard to be a sugar mama when you don't have any sugar. Okay, first of all. And secondly, mom, no disrespect, but your daughter was nodding off during that scene. I'm sorry. 2 times she was nodding off. And her mom says, I wasn't, I didn't feel good about this marriage between 2 drama queens. I'm sorry, it's a marriage with 1 drama queen, and that is your daughter. And Chris is just a liar. I'm sorry. She's a liar, and she duped Jamie. And I feel bad for Jamie because Jamie really expected to marry her and to live the married life in Colombia with Chris, and now Chris is back in the States, miraculously cured, not in pain, working 100 jobs to send her $1,000, and and she's the martyr, because she chose to marry Chris. I'm sorry, to marry Jamie, and it's all Jamie's fault. Meanwhile, like Jamie explained, it is different in Colombia. It is harder for her to get a job because she is from Venezuela. And like Chris may not understand, in different countries, it may be harder for immigrants to get jobs. And, Jamie has been looking for a job. And yes, she did agree to the bigger apartment, but she has been paying rent on her own on the bigger apartment because Chris, it has been 5 months now since she has been gone, has stopped paying rent for the past couple of months. So now Jamie, unemployed, is figuring out month to month where the rent is coming from. And like Jamie's friend said, he was fearful that Chris was going to do this because she did this once before they met. And now she came there and did it again. So all I have to say is, Chris, stop lying. Okay, please stop lying. Now, finally, I have an announcement to make, and I'm going to use my special microphone that my niece, Abigail, let me borrow for my special PSAs. Danielle, Yohan is not being childish. You are a condescending bitch. So moving on to Danielle and Yohan. Danielle cannot understand why Yohan is pissed off about her wanting to go on a boat cruise with her ex, which, by the way, this guy Taylen is her ex right before Yohan. This is not an ex like 3, 4 exes before him. This is the guy right before Yohan. She lived with him for 5 months in Miami before she realized she had to go back to real life and go back to New York and teach again. So if it was up to her, she would probably still be living in Miami with him. So this guy Taylen is in DR, and he arranged for a boat cruise. And Danielle does not understand why her husband is pissed the fuck off. And he's like, go ahead, go. You want to go? Go. I'm just going to sit here by myself and you just go. And she's like, but I don't understand why he's acting so childish. So let me get this straight. If it was his ex-girlfriend right before you that showed up and wanted to take him and you on a boat cruise, you would just go with a smile on your face. I want to see this, Danielle. I want to see this. Sure. You and your crystals and your chakras. I want to see this. Okay. So she's on this cruise with Taylen. And Taylen goes on and on and on about what a great person she is. She's taught him so much. So she's tired of being in teaching mode. She wants, maybe somebody to take over the teaching and teach her things. She's so tired of being the teacher. You could have fooled me. The way that you act with Yohan every 5 seconds, girl. The way that you're condescending, the way that you talk to him, the way that you act like you're his mother and talking down to him every 5 seconds, and you're tired of being in teaching mode, could have fooled me. So, you blatantly disrespected, disregarded his feelings, and you're wondering why he's acting like this and feeling like this. I don't know, Danielle. I don't know. You tell me. So that's basically it, guys. Thank you so much for watching me. Please subscribe if you don't already. Please check out wordonthestreetreality.com. Hit the like button and share my video with a friend or 10. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week. Bye.